Dewo. Dewo is an Igbo Nigerian word that means long life to all of you. Long life to you. What a beautiful wish for a fellow human being. Long life. And it also means greetings, but the long life to you is the deeper meaning. It's Igbo. And for those of you who know, I'm Igbo. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, from Abia State. And that is how we greet each other. So Ndewo to you. Thank you so much for welcoming me into your home for another episode of Chiism Live. I'm Dr. Oke Dibia Uwa Onyioha Osimiri, and I am your host for this program today. It is also my pleasure to welcome Udde Onyioha. Udde Ndewo.
Go.
Dibia Ochuaja Udde Onyioha. For joining us today. It's going to be an exciting program because we have an exciting guest today. A Harvard-trained health educator, a 3-time author, Dr. Imani Ma'at, is going to share wonderful information with us about our health. Because when it's all is said and done, we have to talk about our health. But before we go into inviting Dr. Imani forward, I just want to thank you for allowing us to reintroduce to you Chineke. Chineke. Chineke is God, the name that we have for God. But God has 2 different energies. Chi is the male energy, because there's nothing we do in this world without the male energy. And of course, Eke is the female energy. So Chi Neke represent the male and female energy used to create life and to make life exciting. I want to thank Chineke for allowing me to walk amongst the living today, to inhale and exhale, be 6 feet above ground. I'm always grateful every day, and we should all be, that we see another day, because many were buried yesterday. Dr. Imani Ma'at is going to, when it's her turn to speak, to share with you. I don't want to duplicate information, but she will share with you some of the people that we have lost thus far. And we want to think that our world is getting better because of all the protests all over the world about human dignity. Civilized behavior is not hung around economic opulence and technological know-how. It is when we learn to deal with each other as human beings, to respect our diversity, to respect who we are as human beings, that everybody has the right to exist. That's when we can say that we are civilized. Oke Onyioha made that point very clear in 1976 at the United Nations when he addressed the United Nations to remind us that our civilization, any country that calls itself civilized, must at its core support the dignity of human life. White, black, Asian, whatever the race, we are all human and have the right to exist. And when we can work with each other, when we can relate with each other, as if we understand that life does not exist based on just our own effort, that the Supreme Being made all of us, this flower bed called humanity, with all its diversity. When we can respect that and get along because of that understanding, then we can really call ourselves civilized. The book African Guardianism talks about what he shared with the United Nations. A powerful book. What he wanted to do and what we're doing in Chiism is to remind the African people and the world, to be clear, that we believed in a creative energy Chineke. Chineke has different names in different tongues, and we must respect that. We must respect that. For us, Chineke is God is Chineke. So it's really the same thing. We may speak different tongues. To the Ghanaians is Nyami. Then you have Olodumare, Tamona, Jinyami, Katonda, Nyemi, Nkosi, Uvuzilele, Moari. Chineke has a name in different tongues. Civilized behavior requires that we understand those differences and respect and honor them. That's what makes us civilized. We focus on mind, body, and soul. The mind, body, and soul. The mind connects to the power source. The mind connects to the power source. And if the mind is troubled, then the power source will not be connected, because you have to be willing to reach out and connect. Oke Onyioha reminded us while he was alive, that there is a powerful energy in the universe already available to us. All we have to do is reach out, tap into it, and bring it into us. And once we've done that, anything that we want to achieve, we can achieve it. What we have done, unfortunately, or what we're doing, is we're always looking for that energy, for that power source elsewhere, not realizing it's already there. Somebody did ask me, if the energy of Chineke is already in you, why is it that we have fear, anger, frustration? Because you haven't tapped into it. Those are human emotions. Those are human emotions that overwhelm if you don't tap into the source that will help you overcome that. Chineke doesn't work aside from challenges. As a matter of fact, if there's a challenge, be sure that Chineke is right there, because you've been tested. This is how you learn how to walk through challenges, is by experiencing it. How do you know what challenge is if you don't experience it? And as a matter of fact, Black Lives Matter is a challenge that has been put before Caucasians. And that challenge is, if you do not feel our pain, that's because you have not experienced it. And that is logical. If you don't feel somebody's pain, there's a tendency to not give thought to it. But when you experience something, as they have been experiencing now, with all the police actions, attacks, and without prejudice, everybody is suspect now. Everybody can be challenged. Everybody can be hit. Everybody can be killed. Unfortunately, Black lives are most impacted. But you've got to feel something for you to understand the pain associated with it. So when we allow the energy, the power of Chineke to come into us, and it's already there, buried in our spirit, buried right in there, that's when we can begin to overcome our challenges. But as long as we're looking for it elsewhere, we can't tap into it. We can't tap into it. So let me talk a little bit about the body, because the body enables the mind to function. And this is where Dr. Imani Ma'at is going to come into play. Welcome, Dr. Imani.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. A lot of, you probably just want me to start and talk a little bit about why I'm here. And, you know, I'm going to talk about health and wellness, which is my favorite topic. And I do like to start whenever I'm doing an interview. If you just indulge me, I like to, because I am a health educator, health scientist, and a poet, I like to start whenever I'm speaking to just by sharing a piece. And as I was sitting here, I was thinking that I have a beautiful poem that I wrote some years ago now when Sandra Bland was murdered. And we were told that she hung herself in a jail cell. She was stopped for a traffic violation, supposedly. So I wish I had that piece up, but since I don't, and I do want to acknowledge the brother who was just murdered in Atlanta by a police officer, Rayshard Brooks. Oh my goodness, we're all sort of numb behind that because it's just amazing to us that after all that's gone on with the police murder of George Floyd, with this officer who knelt in his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Oh my God. I mean, we're still, the world has not gotten over that. And then another African-American male is taken out by a police officer which is our hometown now. We're not from there originally, but we've all met in Atlanta and have been living there. It just hurts. It just hurts, and from the hurt, I'm hoping that, we're seeing policy changes. We're seeing things happen that will make society better. I saw a little piece of a little video yesterday, and they were white children. They must have been like ages 3 and 4, maybe 5. And they had one of their friends, a little African-American girl, in a wagon, and they were pulling her. And they were saying they had signs. They're walking in front of their house. I guess they were saying, "Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter." And I just thought that was so amazing. I'm like, yeah, the children need to learn from a very young age.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Black Lives Matter, and that everybody matters. Children are so innocent. They're not born racist. They have to learn that from somebody. So if we're teaching them from young, which is what I've always been dedicated to, teaching the young, because I'm going to read this poem first, and then I'm going to go into some of the work that I've been doing around health and wellness. That all connects. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's shown up in at least 2 of my books, in the Healthy Haiku series. This is called "When Spirits Touch," and it's one of my favorites. When spirits touch, there's a spark that ignites the soul, out of control. When spirits touch, there's a warmth and a glow and an inside smile. Cartwheels of the heart, jump start of adrenaline. When spirits touch, no words of validation are needed to speak what the heart has long since connected as real, whether for a moment or for a lifetime. It inevitably lasts for a lifetime, because when spirits touch, there's no taking it back. Thank you.
Oh, that is beautiful. When spirits touch. And you know what? One of the things that is very, very important for us to understand, and there is no disconnection between the spirit, right, and the body.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And for us to be healthy spiritually, we have to do what to our body? Dr. Imani, could you please, first of all, before you say anything else, could you please introduce yourself and let us know, because you are a person who has quite a background, and I want them to know that. And before I even go into that, I just want to let everybody know Dr. Imani also is my business partner. We operate the Marine Picnic Center in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We're just having a ball running that facility.
Absolutely.
So could you please just tell us a little bit more about yourself before we go any further?
My pleasure. I'm a health scientist and health educator. Been trained at Harvard and MIT. I got my doctorate at Teachers College at Columbia University, my undergraduate degree at Mount Holyoke Women's College in Massachusetts. So I like to think I stayed in school because it was easier than real life. I learned a lot. I think most of our learning happens outside of the walls of our classes in institutions like that, through conversations, through interactions with other students and professors and people in the community. So I also I worked at the Centers for Disease Control for 22 years as a health scientist, researcher, behavioral scientist, and traveled the world speaking and learning and sharing about health and wellness. We worked with health departments, community-based organizations, national organizations, and I really, I really enjoyed working in public health. I also taught at the Morehouse School of Medicine Master Public Health Program. I like to share that because, our historically Black colleges and institutions are really hurting in a lot of ways in terms of not getting the support that they need. And they're responsible for most of our doctors and dentists and lawyers and African-American professionals throughout this country and in a lot of ways throughout the world, because we had a lot of international students who come. So one of the things that, just in terms of my journey, I've always liked to write poetry. And I learned haiku poetry in elementary school. I thought everybody did. Haiku poetry is an ancient Japanese form of poetry that uses just 17 syllables to tell a big story, but to give a real punch in terms of having you stop and think about the message. One that I like to share, violence is a big topic right now. And I started using haiku poetry to teach young people about health and wellness. And violence is actually, it's a public health issue, obviously. I mean, everyone's talking about what's going on with the police. But one of my favorite poems that I wrote to facilitate discussion among children around violence is this. When he pulled back his fist, he stared at the lifeless face of his best friend. See, haiku is real short, but when you hear it, you stop. I actually saw that scene on TV maybe 2 weeks after I wrote that poem of two young kids who had actually gotten into a fight. And because the child hit the other one in the temple, his best friend died. And I was like, wow, it's just sad, So through the poetry and through the discussions, we talk about alternative ways of resolving conflict. And Dr. Osimiri, you and I know that, we both worked at the DeKalb County Jail, where we worked with, and I like to talk about CDC only because I get to the point where I say, but my absolute best employment experience was working at the jail, because we were really able to see transformation right in front of our eyes. And I was there for 5 years, from 2015 up till recently, and just to see the growth.
And I thank you for when I was in Michigan, mm-hmm. I did some work with a musician who has since passed, Eddie GM. Mm-hmm. He was a well-known musician, and he would ask me to go with him to the jails and we'll talk to these young people. And it was amazing how there are so many young people imprisoned, and they're just like calling out for help, spiritual help,
Yes.
spiritual help. And they get so enthralled with, when you talk to them and remind them, in spite of your condition, right. There's still a king in there. You know what I'm saying? Right. You still come from a long line of successful people, and you're struggling right now. And then you gave me the opportunity to do that here in Georgia, and I really, truly enjoyed it. And unfortunately, that program is not, am I correct that program is no longer?
It's on hold because of, the COVID-19. They had to stop allowing civilians to come in, for the safety of the officers, the inmates, and the civilians themselves too. So I'm hoping, and certainly I want to reach out to them and make sure. I'm now in Virginia Beach, but I want to make sure that there so many we've had so many amazing instructors, professors, people who are giving up of their time just to come in and touch lives. So I'm hoping that we can have that program reinstituted, because it was just, I mean, we had, the basic courses, the math, the science, and we had art. Of course, healthy haiku is something that I introduced there. Law of attraction, a good friend of mine, Dr. Jamila, Professor Jamila, was teaching law of attraction. I mean, imagine that, having inmates really understand what we put out, comes back to us in life,
Yes.
teaching them to be responsible for their energy, what they're sharing, and that's going to come back and it's going to multiply and expand their opportunities in life. So, anger management, things like that. So for me, being there was an opportunity to share the healthy haiku method, if you will. And again, it started off really focusing around, proper diet, alkalizing, making sure that you're drinking enough water every day, eating more greens, eating more vegetables, and really understanding how the body works. And a lot of times when I got to the nutrition class, part of my curriculum, I would sort of apologize to the detainees. They were actually not inmates; they're detainees. Maybe some are inmates, but most are detainees. They have not had trial. They've not been convicted. They're there because they have not been able to post bond. So
I'm sorry. I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I have several questions I want to ask you, based on your background as a health educator. And like I indicated earlier, Chisholm tries to promote, right? Mind, body, and soul. All of them go together. You know what I'm saying? So there are just some specific things that we try to get members of Chisholm to do. And then now what I want to ask you is, how are we doing? Now, does that make sense to you? One of the things is for the body. Many individuals don't understand how important it is to be grateful. Gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude. Because when you're not grateful for what you do have, right? You don't really understand that you have been given sort of like a privilege. Because many don't have that privilege. And Udi, feel free to come in when you want to with this topic. But Dr. Imani, what do you think about, because I always tell people, have you said thanks? I remember a friend of mine who passed away, Chief, oh gosh, what is it? She lived in Michigan, Chief Emezwe. And she was a cheers herself. And when I call her and I have all these 1,000,001 complaints about something, she wouldn't even respond. She'll say, okay, well, have you given thanks?
Yeah.
In other words, she just shuts me down. Here you are breathing. You're doing what other people can't do, and you want to call me about some silly stuff you can fix? Right. She says, have you given thanks? To talk about what the importance of giving thanks, because I always want people to understand your part of your health, part of you being healthy is understanding that you're already blessed.
You're already blessed. And a lot of people don't think about that. They think about their anger. They've been dealt a bad hand. Somebody did something to them. One of the classes, one of the court classes that I taught was on forgiveness. And I had people, at the jail who couldn't forgive, and I had to teach them, forgiveness is not for them. It's not about you forgiving somebody who did something to you. It's for liberating yourself.
Yes.
That anger from that energy that you're putting into being mad.
Yeah, because it helps your body when you're not stuck on that. There's a lot of adrenaline that goes with anger.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's damaging.
Yeah, and so, we teach that it's so important to stop and give thanks for what you have. And if it's just that you're breathing, then you're still alive. You're still breathing. Now what? I had a young lady in one of my classes, and she had attended one of the universities in Atlanta. I could tell she was a very bright young lady. And after being in one of the classes, she said to me, I've been trying to figure out why I was here. And because I didn't do anything. And she said, I'm not going to go into that, but I really did not do anything. Because I realized I'm here because I needed to hear what you said today. And she said it was life-changing. And she said, I'm so grateful that I'm sitting here to have heard the message that you shared today. And I was happy for her. I never saw her again. She left after that, because I guess she really hadn't done anything. I mean, there are a lot of things that happen that people are innocent. I mean, you're innocent, until proven guilty anyway. So, there are things where people really are not supposed to have been arrested in the first place. But that's another soapbox. I'm not going to go there. But the gratitude that I heard from her was so powerful, and I heard it from so many people there that they understood that they had to get outside of themselves. That a lot of times we're holding ourselves down. We put the jail around ourselves because we can't stop and think about all the things that are positive in our lives.
And when you think about the body, when people are not grateful for who they are, that's when they do some really crazy things, that messes up the body. And I just want to talk, I did my dissertation, on body image, bleaching, Africans bleaching their skin. Okay. Now, that is the worst abuse of the human body, and that has a lot to do with not being grateful.
Being grateful.
And then you bleach your skin. I have I'm not going to call names. I do have a friend. I knew her in Michigan. She was dark like me. And honey, I love my dark skin. And everybody, everybody should be happy with their skin. Light, dark, whatever. You be grateful, for now. If I tell you what color this girl is, if I saw her on the street, I'll walk right past her. She is fairer than a white person.
Well, so much of that is, and I know you know it because you wrote your dissertation on it, but internalized racism. There's racism from the oppressors. There's institutional racism, and then there's that racism where we turn on ourselves because we believe what we've been taught, that we're inferior.
That's like those words.
Right. But, that also gets back to what we eat. I mean, if we really love ourselves and know that we're the queens and the kings that we are, that we were born to be, then we wouldn't be putting a lot of crap.
Eating organic food.
Junk food, addict food. Right. Exactly. I mean, what about the greens? I'm drinking lime and water. It's so important to alkalize every day. It's a great way to start with warm water and lemons or limes to alkalize your system. When your system is balanced, your pH is balanced. I heard somebody say the other day, it's supposed to be the power of the hydrogen, but he says it really means perfect health. When your body is in perfect health, then it's self-healing. You don't have to worry about going to the doctor. You don't have to worry about, what kind of medications you have to take. Your body is designed to heal itself, and we eat crap, a lot of sweets, a lot of sugars, processed foods. I want people to look this up. I mentioned it in an interview the other day. One of my favorite little videos about diet and the fact that we're killing ourselves with what we're eating. It's called Eating the Rave Diet, RAVE, Eating the Rave Diet. You can see it, I think, on YouTube. It's free online, and it stands for not eating refined foods, animal products, vegetable oils, and the E stands for no exceptions. I think that's so profound because we are eating ourselves to death.
And that's just the thing. You see, Dr. Imani, one of the key things that people need to understand about a spiritual way of life is not how much time you devote to a church. That's not what makes you spiritual. What makes you spiritual is how much time you devote to yourself.
Right.
You know, because a healthy person makes a healthy husband or wife, a healthy mother, a healthy person impacts society.
Society. Absolutely.
Do you understand? And it's imperative. Now, another thing I want to ask you, how about sleep? How important
Sleep
is
is very important. It is very, very important. You know, they say get 8 hours of sleep if you can, 7 if you can't, 6.5, you're pushing it. I mean, people really are not getting enough. When we're sleeping, that's when our body is rebuilding. That's when our cells are getting nourished. I mean, we're in a relaxed state. We're not doing the hustle and bustle and running around and overworking our brains, overworking our muscles, overeating. When we're sleeping, we're not doing any of those things. So sleep is very, very, very important. Drinking alkaline water or spring water if you don't have alkaline water, but drinking water. There was an Iranian physician who had been imprisoned for political reasons, Dr. Batman Jalej, and when he was in jail, the other inmates were coming to him, Doc, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, I'm so sick, I need help. And he started doing experiments with water because he obviously didn't have his medical bag with him. So he started doing experiments with water. And we're talking water in the jail in Iran. This was maybe 30 years ago. And he started seeing positive results. People started healing just from drinking water. He probably took them off of the food that they were eating, but he actually stayed in jail longer than he had to because he wanted to finish his research. One of the books is Our Body's Many Cries for Water. We're not sick, we're thirsty, and so he talks about the importance of drinking water. I have a piece in the book where I shared some of his wisdom. Water transports all substances inside the body. It enhances a collection of oxygen by red blood cells. It accelerates the expelling of toxic waste from different parts of the body. It's the main lubricant in our joints, and it helps to prevent arthritis and back pain. It's used in the spinal discs to make more than efficient shock-absorbing cushions. Water is so very important. And you know how many times I hear people say, oh, I don't drink water. I don't like water. You don't like water. Your body is 75 to 90% water, depending on the part of the body you're talking about. So we have to drink water.
But Dr. Imani, does it not matter the kind? It does matter the kind of water you're drinking because tap water, it's not the very best. It does have some elements in there that shouldn't be in our water. Talk about that.
Well, tap water it's got a lot of toxins in it, and each I know in Georgia, each county puts out a report on the quality of the water, and there are percentages of carcinogens that are allowed, small percentages, but they're allowed in the water. So anything. In the old days, if you went to the outhouse, where you went, that's where it went down, in the soil. It didn't impact the new water source. But here, what goes down the drain, what goes down the toilet gets reprocessed and comes back as drinking water. And not all of the toxins are removed. I mean, and even chlorine, which is meant to help with the purification process, chlorine is not the best thing for us to ingest. It also creates issues for the body. So, alkaline water, I've studied alkaline water. There's so many people. There's a book called The pH Miracle by Dr. Robert O. Young, where I learned a lot about alkalizing. Dr. Mona Harrison, an African-American doctor who had been affiliated, I believe, with Johns Hopkins, possibly Harvard, but don't quote me on that. But a brilliant, brilliant scientist, physician, spent her life's work was studying alkalizing and the importance of alkalizing on the body, and how on a pH scale of 0 to 14, our bodies need to be slightly alkaline, slightly over 7. It's actually 7.365. You can remember that because it's the number of days in the year. So a lot of the things that we eat and drink have a pH of 2, 3, which is very acidic. Anything under 7 is going to be very acidic, right? So our bodies are constantly struggling to process those acids. In fact, people who are overweight, a lot of the fat that is there to protect us from the acids that are in our system. A lot of people don't know that. As they change their diet to include more alkaline water, more water, but certainly alkaline water, and greens, more fruits and vegetables. As they change to a more alkaline and healthy diet, less processed foods or no processed foods, they're going to lose weight, not just because they're quote unquote dieting, which I don't believe in the word dieting. It's really a lifestyle, but they're going to lose weight because the fat cells don't have a job anymore. I thought about creating a t-shirt that says, "I fired my fat. Ask me how."
I love it.
Right. You didn't need it anymore because you weren't taking in the acids. Sodas of all types are probably the worst things that you can consume. So when you do a test on different beverages, the things that show up really bad in terms of low, really high acidity, which is like a 2 on the pH scale, are things like sodas, the different sports drinks. One of the things that has always concerned me, a lot of times you see children, who are playing soccer or football or whatever at a young age, and you have a kid, once a season, maybe more than that, we don't always hear about it, who just drops dead on the playing field. What are they drinking in between innings? Are they giving them water? Are they giving them alkaline water? Are they giving them sports drinks? So, it's really important for people to have this information. Some of this is mentioned in the book. Children, and the book is about fighting childhood obesity, but it's really a book for adults, parents, teachers, mentors to use with children. And it gives a lot of information about better ways of being. It gives the science. Children, the obesity rate in children mirrors that of adults. It's like 1 out of 3 children and teens is either overweight or obese. Well, 1 out of 3 adults is either overweight or obese. Why? Because they're eating the same thing. They're in the same family. I remember doing a little demonstration once of alkaline water in somebody's home, and there was a child there, and they watched the demonstration, and they saw the water change different colors. I put some drops in there, and they saw how bad. We always use a clear soda so they can see how dark that turns. But there was a mother who said, "Okay, you see that we can't drink sodas anymore." And the child turned to the mother and said, "You buy the sodas. I don't buy the sodas."
Okay.
It's like, ooh, the mouth of babes. They're going to eat and drink what their parents buy.
That is true. But, Dr. Imani, though, one of the things that, people, not everybody has the luxury of buying alkaline water. So it's really very important what you said in terms of water and lemon, or lime, okay?
Yeah,
but could they, how about using filtration? Or installing a water filter if they have to drink tap water?
Yeah, there are systems that people, I have a system, an alkalizing system that creates the water for you. It takes that sink water and turns it into an alkaline water process of electrolysis and double carbon filter and a number of things. But, so there are options that people have. And I'd be happy if people contact me. I'd be happy to tell them about some of the options. Because by the time you look at getting a system that's providing water for you, if you're not buying bottled water every day, you're saving money. You know, if you added up how much you spend on bottled water, and bottled water is not that good for you. Those bottles are made of petroleum, and the petroleum leaches into the water that you're drinking. So you ever go to a gas station and see packs and packs of bottled water sitting outside at the gas station because they don't have room inside? So it's those bottles are getting heated up, and that petroleum is seeking into the water that you're drinking. Now,
What number? Give me the number that they should contact you if they want to get in touch with you.
they can call me at 404-702-4382. And I've got, you know, they can also contact me. I've got a card. It's a digital business card, and it has all of my information, all of the products and services that I have been sharing. And it's DrImanisCard.com. Very simple. DrImanis card.com. DrImanisCard.com.
But they can also call you, right? They can also call you.
But yeah, it'd be nice if they look at the card too, because I worked hard on that card.
Okay, so give them that information again.
Yeah,
I'm showing your phone number, but give them verbally. Okay.
DrImanis card, CARD.com. Dr. Imani's card. Go to the menu and you'll see lots of things that help to enhance the body and your life, which is yeah. So they can go there, but they can certainly call me. I do some coaching. People have been reaching out to me to say I need help, and I don't actually call it health coaching. I call it more of a literacy review, because one of my things is to empower people to be able to find the information and make healthy choices. People are not reading. You know, we Google everything that we want to, that we need to. And then when it comes to our health, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. There's lots of resources online. So I try to steer people to, you know, look at what their wellness goals are, and then kind of steer them to the information that they need to help them to reach their goals. And so I'm not trying to be a doctor. I don't do any diagnosing or treating or preventing or curing anything. I always give that disclaimer as a health scientist. I'm more of a researcher. So I use my research skills to help them to achieve the that they need to achieve. And it's been working. I enjoy doing that. That's a lot of fun.
That is wonderful. You're sharing quite a bit of information. We're so appreciative of that. Appreciative.
Thank you.
Of that. But I do have a question that I think it does have something to do with our well-being, and that is what it means to become grounded. What does it mean to become grounded? What does that mean to you? Let me just tell you what it means to us, at least as Cheers. Being grounded, you know, we believe in Mother Earth. Yes. We believe that there is so much that comes from the mother. If you stand on the grass on Earth with your shoes off, yes, you just got to step on there and just be. And just allow the energy from the Mother Earth to just flow right through you. Am I exaggerating?
No, I mean, I think most of the work that I've done has been to empower people. My former Blog Talk radio show was called Stepping Into My Power. And I called it My Power because when people speak the words, I want them to understand they're stepping into their own power. And it's all about, even the health work is not so much to turn everyone into a vegetarian or to have people just eating the right way just because. When you're eating healthy, you're opening up your mind and you're able to basically be who it is you're supposed to be in this lifetime. So many of us are taking up space or haven't even thought about who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? You know, a lot of people get up, and I have nothing against 9-to-5 jobs because people need to work. But sometimes the creativity is stifled. I have seen more people, and this has to do with grounding. I've seen more people as we self-quarantine because of COVID-19. I've seen more genius just kind of come out in terms of people stepping into their power, creating music, creating poetry, helping other people, starting programs, really getting on their path, because we had to sit still. Now, of course, it's amazing going from sitting still to protests in the street. I mean, there's, the protests were necessary, are necessary. No justice, no peace. Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
But I've seen people really stepping into who they are. And you can't step into who you are if you're not balanced, if you're not grounded, if you don't have a sense of what your purpose is in this lifetime. So, well, I like that. I like how that sounded.
Yeah, it does sound wonderful. And I know your belief and understanding about how important and I have to keep emphasizing this, the body, if it's in good shape, impacts the mind.
Absolutely.
You see, now one of the things I've known you to do, I'll pick up the phone and I call you, Dr. Imani, I want you to say, nope, can't. I'm going to yoga.
Hot yoga.
I'm out to do my exercise. Talk about the importance of exercise.
Exercise is, I've heard people who are really health and wellness advocates who say exercise is almost more important than diet. And these are people that practice healthy eating and living, but exercise is so important. We need to it's mind, body, spirit, which is why I love the hot yoga practice. In fact, I'm coming to Atlanta. I need to call them and say, save a space for me, because now that, places are opening again, you can only have 10 people and people are signing up 2 months in advance. I need to let them know I'm coming and save a space for me. But exercise is so very important. We get lethargic. Our muscles need to be worked so that, as you work them, they get stronger. If you don't, they just get soft and are not.
And health walks.
What they need to do.
Health walks, like if you look at people and people wonder, the Kenyans, every time there's a marathon, those Kenyans always win.
Oh, absolutely.
Not all the time, but for the most part, they do. They have endurance. They have that body.
Right. Well, it's funny because when I'm here in Virginia Beach now, and the first thing I did was go out and find a hot yoga studio. And unfortunately, right when, things started shutting down, the studio had to shut down. I went out and bought a bicycle. I'm like, I'm going to at least ride around the neighborhood and get exercise, if nothing else, because I didn't want to gain the COVID-10 that most of us have been gaining, probably COVID-20.
Yes.
Sitting at home, isolating and eating.
Yeah.
So
I tried to do what you said. I tried to get my own bicycle. So I went to the store and I looked at it and I got it, and it's still parked in the garage.
Okay, so we're gonna hold each other accountable and do some riding. Even one thing I like about here is that the streets are very flat. In Atlanta,
that's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah,
mine is hilly.
I know.
It's hilly, and it's like, oh my God.
You get more exercise when it's hilly. So force yourself. Come out of your comfort zone and do that. Ride that bicycle. Brother Udde, are you riding, or what are you doing for exercise?
That's what I'm doing. Right there.
He's eating.
Yeah, we're gonna hold you accountable too.
Right here.
He's eating.
We're gonna hold you accountable.
No, actually, I just to piggyback off what you were saying before, I think the most important part of your well-being, right, is being appreciative of life.
Yes.
Secondly, your health. Because, if you don't have good health, you can't do anything.
Right.
You can't go to work. You can't have a good relationship with anybody. There's nothing you can do in life if you don't take care of yourself. So I'm a firm believer that your health is actually numero uno. And then number two is just being appreciative of life, being appreciative of what you have. For me, it's a stress reducer. right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying that it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown, right? And I apply that to my spiritual well-being of being appreciative, because it
Yes.
allows me not to bottle up stuff. It allows me not to be resentful of situations.
Right.
It allows me to forgive, right? I don't want to run around mad, get myself all stressed out, using up all the muscles to frown and nothing to smile. So for me, your health
Yes.
includes your spiritual health, your spiritual well-being, your physical health, which encompasses, the diet, what you
Yes.
eat, and exercising, releasing the stress of being mad at something all the time. Now, something I wanted to ask you: when you water, exactly what is the better option? Water, of course, is no good because it's got a lot of chemicals in it, particularly chlorine, which supposedly, how do you say, cleans the water up. Now, the water that we drink naturally, let's say you're drinking spring, contain chlorine of any.
Your mic is breaking up a
Does
little
it?
bit. I've been. I wanted to.
This spring water, the actual spring water, does it contain chlorine?
It doesn't necessarily contain.
And we also know
chlorine,
that bottled water is not good for you.
Right. I have been connected with a company that manufactures devices for people to make their own alkaline water. So I'd be happy to talk to people if they want to call me about that, speak with me. I don't do the marketing online when I'm doing these types of interviews, but I've had this system for about 13 years now, and I love it. It's really life-changing. I've given this water to my dogs, and the dogs have gotten healthier. So the dogs won't drink that water.
Reason why I'm asking is because at least it doesn't seem like alkaline water is readily available to everybody, right? Just like you wake up and you want to drink some water, you're thirsty, and you go and get tap water. Run your faucet and drink some tap water, right? And then in your mind, you're saying, "Oh, I'm drinking some water. I'm doing the what's going on? I'm doing the healthy thing." But in actuality, you're not necessarily doing it, because you're drinking tap water, which has a lot of chemicals or whatever to purify it and all that. And then you can't drink the water really from the gas station, from the water bottles, because it's the plastic has petroleum products in it. So when it comes up a little bit, it seeps into the water. So what options do we readily have available beyond tap water and bottled water?
Well, tap water is not an option. Tap water is not an option. Don't drink tap water. It's just really not good for you. Bottled water is better than tap water. Water that you get from your own device is going to be better than bottled water. And so, there are different systems, and they have different prices and all of that. But again, people can contact me to get information about what I recommend, which is a particular system, and I'm not going to recommend that here online. But the thing is to be conscious of it. To drink more water that's better for you. Spring water is okay. I'm concerned about some of the contaminants from the springs, because we just got pollution and so forth. Spring water probably is really good for you back, 50, 100 years ago.
But does it really exist? Is there really spring water?
Sorry?
Is there really spring water? Is there really spring water out there for real?
Well,
or is it tap water sold as spring water?
Hey, well,
I'm very suspicious. Somebody tells me about spring water. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I'm not quite
I just
sure.
don't.
Not quite sure, but Yeah, so we'll talk about that some more, Yudi. It's one of my favorite topics, and you know, I've had so I do want to. I know we're wrapping up soon. I do want to make sure people know about the book. This is actually the last book that I've published in the Healthy Haiku series. It's Healthy Haiku 3: How to Fight Childhood Obesity, One Poem at a Time, and it's on Amazon. So you can just Google Healthy Haiku 3 and it comes right up. And I'm doing a training series with it so that I can train teachers and parents and mentors to be able to use this as part of their curriculum to teach about health, to teach young people about health and wellness, teach anybody about health and wellness. A lot of poetry.
Dr. Imani, could you do me a favor? Please show that book again.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Here it is. It's on screen. Healthy Haiku.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
How to Fight Childhood Obesity, One Poem at a Time. And
all right.
my lovely granddaughter.
I love that title.
Yeah. Your lovely granddaughter is on the cover.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
She's
Thank
one of my
you for that
favorite.
book. It's and I just want to remind people, as you can see scrolling on the screen, is Dr. Imani's phone number. Please be sure to give her a call. She's also shared her card so that you'll be able to get in touch with her. She is a woman who is full of information. I'm so glad she's my friend because sometimes I bug her so much. She tell me, "I'll be right back." I say, "Okay, I've spoken too much." She's got
I love sharing the information, and I so appreciate you for having me on your program today. The next book that's coming out is about our experience working at the jail. It's called Educating the Incarcerated, Facilitating Opportunities for Growth and Understanding. So you have to have me on again.
Absolutely.
That's going to be.
We would love to have you again. Yeah. I just want to before you say anything, Yudi, because I'm going to give you your time to speak. Let it all out, because I know you're just you want so much. You want to say so much. I want to talk about the fact that it is important. I mean, Dr. Imani has shared so much. One time is not going to be enough to interview this woman, because there were some other aspects of the body, the wholesomeness of the body that I wanted to talk about, like smiling. People need to know that smiling is healthy. Because laughter is healthy, and you must live your passion. Mm-hmm. When you live your passion, you're a happy person, and when you're happy, your body benefits from that. And Dr. Imani, you do this a lot, and I'm trying to do it. I just got started. Meditation. It is very important to meditate, because you get an opportunity to just let it go, just release, and let that spirit flow into you and wash all that mess out of you. You got to do it more often. You've got to set a time frame in your life that you do your meditation. Is so important, because I know my kids sometimes they laugh at me, say, "Mom, you say all that stuff. Now you need to practice it." And I have to practice this, practice what you preach. So I'm starting that, like I go outside, everybody's sleeping, they don't even know I'm out there, grounding myself on the grass, and that's very important. And even you were talking about, Dr. Imani, we were talking about the filtration of water, right? But do we know that you have to filter your shower head too?
Yes, you do.
You've got to filter.
I got something for folks as far as that's concerned too. So. Yeah, we have a filter.
See, that's what I'm saying. We have to bring you back and get outdoor more often, folks. Get outdoor now. They said that COVID, we should stay indoors. It doesn't mean you can't go out and get some sun. Get out there, exercise. You know what I'm saying? So that is very, very important. And live your passion, people. Right. Live your passion.
Yep.
The most powerful thing for your whole body. And I'm speaking to Christians, to Muslims, to Shiites, to Buddhists, whatever your religion is, live your passion. Because that is practically what makes you a healthy person, that you're doing something you enjoy doing, not something somebody else has dictated that you must do. Now, going to work is something that we must do, but also find a time frame where you fit that in. Mind, body, and soul, everything's got to work for you to be healthy. And on that note, I want to ask Ochuaja.
Udde?
Because he said he has something to say. We are ready to hear it.
Yeah, just briefly. I was actually trying to make a joke. I said I have a new book coming out. It's called How Not to Hate and How to Stop Killing Black Folks. Okay?
that would be a
bestseller.
Yeah, that's the book that I have. And then just briefly, for those of us that claim that we're religious and spiritual, I would say this, and you brought it up at the beginning of the show. Any religion that does not preach love and live love is no religion at all. Hate, for the most part in this world, is spread through Abrahamic religions. I'm just going to tell the truth, just like I see it. When you preach exclusive truth, my way or the highway, and you diminish every other point of view, you're not practicing love, you're hating. And you see everybody else less than. Diversity is divine. There's a reason why you have a red rose, a pink rose, a yellow rose, a red rose, all the different colors of roses. What do they all have in common? They are all roses. It just depends on what statement that you want to make, depending on which color of rose you give to somebody.
Yes.
There's a reason why you got black folks, reason why you got white folks, reason why you got Chinese. Right. There's so many different species of ants. Each one of them plays a role in the world. Right. God is not stupid.
That's right.
Diversity is divine. We understand that as cheers do, defend the right of our fellow human beings to exist. Now you're talking about being civilized. That's all I wanted to say. And we appreciate you, Dr. Imani, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming on this show.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Udde, for that ending comment. It is important for us to all understand that we are connected. This is a phone number for if you want to get in touch with us for Chiism. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. And Chiism of Africa is our Facebook. No, is our YouTube channel. And we want you to follow us on and make comments on this program. Dr. Imani has been a powerful person to have on this show. And we are very proud that she agreed to come. We're quite honored that she agreed to be here. Yeah. And I want you all to know that we are in this battle together. It doesn't matter who you are. Chiism is not encouraging anyone to stop being who they are. We're not asking you not to be whatever it is you were raised to be. But what we want you to do is change your mindset. And that mindset is that I am right and you are wrong. We can't do that. We need to, if we've learned anything from the movement that's taking place all over the world, is that everybody has merit. Every culture has something that we can learn from. There is no one person that there is a song that we sing that says that there is nobody that the Creator created and said, this is my favorite. We are all Chineke's favorite. And the reason why, as Udde has said, that we are a wonderful bowl of humanity. It's like flowers in a bowl. And if you take one out, that bowl becomes less attractive. And then when it comes down, if it narrows down to just one, then it's really meaningless, because then it's no longer a bowl of a bouquet of roses of humanity. It becomes just one group. And that's not the way it was intended, because if it was intended that way, we would all be one group of people. I'm Oke Dibia, Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri. It's been my pleasure to have you, to have these wonderful speakers on the show. And I want to close by reminding you that you are connected with a living spirit who will do the work through you and for you if you will just tap into that spirit. Thank you, Dr. Imani.
Thank you. My
Dibia
pleasure.
Ochuaja Udde. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until we see you again on another episode of Teism Live, Yagazie.
Yagazie to all.